Hi, auditing teaching team. Welcome to the Group 17 presentation today, which will be on ASIC's audit inspection report. My name is Rada Milovanovic, and I'm opening this presentation as a first presenter. My colleagues Satinder and Daman will present the latest stages of this presentation. Let's first define audit evidence. The most used definition of audit evidence is given in International Standards on Auditing and, by analogy, Australian Standards on Auditing 500.5, and it states the following. Audit evidence means information used by the auditor in arriving at the conclusions on which the auditor's opinion is based. The diagram on this slide aims to describe the function of audit definition as stated in auditing standards and expands this definition by scoping the sources of audit evidence. Therefore, audit evidence can be obtained by gathering information which underline audited financial reports and gathering information from other sources. This evidence from other sources is also called corroborating evidence. Once the auditors collect enough of appropriate and sufficient audit evidence, they can make conclusions about truthfulness and compliance on financial reports which they are auditing, and ultimately they can reach audit opinion. In this diagram, audit evidence serves as a basis and support on which the highest part, which is audit opinion, is based. On this slide, we can see the diagram that shows four essential elements of financial report audit, which is audit evidence, materiality, financial report assertions, and audit procedures. These four elements are tightly connected and codependent. A quality audit of a financial report cannot be executed without any of these four elements, including the audit evidence. This understanding takes us to the next part of these presentations that talks about the importance of audit evidence. Let's see why is audit evidence important when it comes to audit of financial reports. As I mentioned previously, audit evidence is a key element of financial report audit. It helps an auditor to support or contradict a company's assertions made in the financial statements and their compliance with accounting standards and relative laws, and ultimately helps an auditor reach a conclusive opinion pertaining to an organization's financial statements. Audit evidence contributes to a core audit purpose of enhancing financial statements' reliability for their users, assuring they are free of material misstatements. Therefore, audit evidence needs to be connected and comply with different laws and regulations. So an auditor who does not assure provision of sufficient, appropriate, relevant, and reliable evidence when reaching an opinion of financial report breaches the rules set in our auditing standards. But on the other hand, an auditor who assures gathering of adequate evidence enhances professional judgment and auditor's independence. ASICs had adverse findings in their investigations of auditors' work in the 6 major auditing companies and a number of smaller companies. Auditors did not obtain reasonable assurance that the financial reports were free of material misstatements. They didn't have sufficient evidence to support their opinions, and they didn't perform root cause analysis to establish reasons for failing to obtain sufficient evidence. Ultimately, they did not fully comply with Auditing Standards and Corporation Act 2001. Further, ASICs actually continues to result, ASICs inspections continues to result in adverse findings for the last 3 financial years, and majority of findings were in relation to impairment of non-financial assets, audit of assets values, and audit of revenue. 4 to 5% of listed and other entities of public interest made material changes in their financial statements regarding assets and profits as a result of ASIC's audit inspection. Similar findings were reported in America and UK as a result of their respective regulatory bodies' inspections. And at the end, ASICS recommends that there is an area for improvement in best practice in order to safeguard from the conflict of interest, improve the governance focus on better audit quality, and assure accountability of audit partners for overall audit performance. Next slide to Satinder.
Hi, my name is Satinder. So today I will talk about the impact of veracity of audit practices. So what is veracity? Veracity is generally defined as the quality of being true, honest, and accurate. So it is important aspect of any data that based on the auditing function, and it's concerned with the accuracy, precision, and truthfulness. So from the ASIC report, we had to find out that audit inspection can disclose that how the audit firms failed to provide sufficient evidence, for example, not being mathematically accurate and precise, not undertaking necessary testing and cross-checking, not undertaking risk assessment and error investigations. And the last one we got inappropriately relying on the internal controls, which ultimately. The second one we got shines negative light, which on the auditor's veracity. And further we got can potentially compromise trust vested in auditors' works by the investors, and therefore we got the broaden the expectation gap. So here we got the positive impacts of ASIC audit inspection into the audit firms, which identifies the critical areas for improvements and suggests corrective measurement in accordance with the laws and regulation, which helps the firm to carry out their audit practices with the accuracy as well as the transparency and the truthfulness and the ultimately. And further we got promotes the auditor veracity and the overall improvement of audit quality. And the second part, we got the fourth question here, which advise for the audit information that based on the ASIC's findings. So given with the data of the ASICs, we can hear adverse finding in inspecting the audit quality and independence, which is advisable that audit information users in a particular investments, which can be seen in a critical analysis all finding of audit inspection report that gain complete understanding about the meaning of an adverse finding, which requests the accountability and the explanation from the audit partners. Further, you can say that it requests the root cause, which analysis to be performed by the audit partners, and that results into reported and rotate and change the audit partner. So we have here question that why it is not litigate as stated by the ASICs, which means that the court action against the auditor for defective audits and auditors then independence the issues, which states into the ASICs report 677 and comes into the page number 19. Now the next slide I'll hand over to Daman. He will explain the last question.
So the last question is how we can advise to practicing auditors based on ASIC's findings. So given to the core purpose of financial report audit is to provide reasonable assurance that the financial report is free of material misstatement, but the ASIC's audit inspection into the audit firm's work resulted in adverse findings. It's advisable that practice auditors should take like ASIC's findings and recommendations seriously, offer explanation to both ASICs and clients, perform root cause analysis to prevent reoccurrences, so which will help to the auditors to improve their reports. So Next, we can say how we can prevent that cure. Auditors should apply ethical principles of integrity, objectivity, and professional competence in due care. Confidential and professional behavior. Like they should apply principles of auditor independence, assesses business and audit risk, and establish audit plan and strategy accordingly. They should understand the client's process and the internal controls. They should listen to the clients, how they want their work should be done. So that's going to improve the audit process. Last is like exercise a great level of professional judgment, be professional, skeptical, gather a sufficient and appropriate evidence to show how and why you read the conclusion, and form an official opinion. They should ensure compliance with ASI and should act within the Corporation Act of 2001 and other legal regulator of provisions. They should act according to the law, like what the law states. They should act in binding in the law. So that's all, guys. Thank you very much. If you guys have any questions, we are happy to answer you, and you can email us on our email IDs, student IDs, so we can reply to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.